Okay, so we are ready to begin. Welcome, everyone. We are ready to begin. Welcome, everyone, to our Thursday afternoonish, eveningish yoga. We are doing a practice today for building Pran Vayu. So Vayu means wind, and it's a descriptor for how energy moves within the body, similar to the way that we could think about patterns of currents in the ocean or trade winds, that kind of thing. From a yogic understanding, energy flows in particular currents in our bodies, and Pran Vayu is seated in the heart and the head, and it's about our capacity to take things in, which we've all been taking a lot in recently. So sometimes Pran Vayu can get depleted, and then we find ourselves sort of maybe basally tired or overwhelmed. So this is a practice for kind of rebuilding our reserves and a practice for replenishment. So as I always do, I'll encourage you to move at a pace that's comfortable for you, to take variations that are comfortable and steady in your own form. Okay, so we're going to start out reclined, and if you have a blanket or a towel, we'll take that folded blanket toward the top third of your mat. If you don't have something like that in reach, you can roll in the top of your mat to create a little bit of a lift. And if that's not comfortable, just lie flat on your back. But if you have the prop available, we're going to use that to elevate our hearts a little bit to start class. So please lie down with your shoulder blades, the bottom point of your shoulder blades at the center of your folded blanket. And then let the tops of your shoulders relax down to the floor. Let your head rest down to the floor. And we'll bring the legs into constructed rest pose. So your feet will be mat's width distance apart and your knees will rest in on each other so that the legs form a triangle shape. The knees together forming the top of the triangle, and then the space between the heels forming the base of the triangle. Great. So we're lying down, the bottom point of the shoulder blade resting on the blanket, tops of the shoulders resting down onto the floor, head resting on the floor, and maybe your elbows are bent at the sides like goalposts or goddess arms. Maybe they're stretched out to a T. And we'll be here for several cycles of breath to begin our practice. So as you rest here in this supported shape, simply begin to notice how is the physical body feeling today? Taking a scan without expectation from the crown of the head down to the soles of the feet. And just notice, how is my body? Is there some tension I can release? Is there a way I can support myself here? And then allow a detached observation of the mind, just simply noticing what is the speed of the mind, perhaps, the content. As Bo Forbes calls it, the emotional tone of the mind. Just building awareness. And then allow your awareness to move to your breath and notice, how is the quality of the breath in this moment? Gradually, lovingly inviting smoothness into the breath, evenness into the breath. And perhaps with this supported back bend of the body here, this spaciousness in the chest, you find a more complete breath in. Let that inhale rise from the belly up to the center of the chest. Feel the fullness of the inhale. And then easy breath out, melting tension out of the face, the neck, the shoulders, and the belly. Let's try that 4 more rounds before we invite movement. Find that inhale rising from the belly to the center of the chest and feel the fullness of that breath in. As you breathe out, let gripping release from the face, the jaw, the neck, and shoulders. 2 more breaths just for you, feeling the fullness of the breath in. And then let's go ahead and slide down now and roll over to your right side. So maybe now that blanket or pillow comes underneath your right ear. You can adjust that so that the neck is comfortable, and we'll side lie on the right side. We're going to have a 90-degree bend, please, at the hips and at the knees. So there's a straight line out from your hip to your knees, and then a straight line down from your bent knees to your heels. Stretch your right arm out long on the mat, and then stack your left palm on top of your right. So we're side lying, crown of the head in line with the tailbone, shoulders, elbows, and palms are stacked. And now as we breathe in, we'll sweep that top arm open. If it's comfortable, your gaze can follow and look over the reach of the left fingertips. And then exhale, close that off, stacking the palms once again. And we'll do this 4 more times on this side, sweeping the arm open as you breathe in, reaching and stretching through the anterior left shoulder. And then exhale, shoulders and palms stack. Do this twice more with the intention to maintain that awareness of spaciousness in the chest and fullness of the breath in. Nice. Let's sweep that left arm open 1 more time, and this time we'll hold there. And with the palm reaching, imagine a clock at the crown of the head. So there's 12 o'clock. And let your fingertips point out to maybe 2 o'clock. And then glide the arm to 1 o'clock. And then toward 12. And then back to 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. Notice where sensation shifts around the shoulder. And then exhale, close that off again. Stack the shoulders, the elbows, the palms. Pause here. And then go ahead and roll over onto your back. And we'll take that on the other side. So now you're lying on your left side. Take a second to wiggle around so you feel like there's a straight line down from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And stretch that left arm out long on the mat. Right palm rests on top. Same thing on this side. Sweep that right arm open. The gaze can follow if it's comfortable for your neck. And then exhaling, shoulders, elbows, and palms stack. Fine to let your hips slide with you a little bit. We're early in the class. We don't need any big twists. Let this be more about finding spaciousness across the front of the right shoulder, the chest, the length of the arm. Excellent. So 1 more round, I think, dynamically. And the next time that we find that right arm reaching, we'll sweep the arm again beyond the crown of the head. So the fingertips point to approximately 12 o'clock, should there be a clock at the crown of the head here. And then reach the arm back to 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And then sweep again, just within a comfortable range for the shoulder. Reach beyond the crown of the head. And sweep back out to 9 o'clock. And then stack again the shoulders, the elbows, and the palms as you come to lie on your side. Great, we'll slide the blanket off to the side now and just roll over to lie on your back. So coming back to lying flat on the mat, if you have vertigo, anything like that, go ahead and keep your head elevated on your blanket. Otherwise, we'll lie down flat and stretch the legs out long on the mat. Knees can stay bent if your low back troubles you here. Take a breath in, reach the arms beyond the crown of the head, interlace the fingers, and as you exhale, press the heels of the hands away from the heels of the feet. Take another breath in, lengthen through the side body, reach from the center of the chest. And then as you exhale, release the arms back down to your sides. Good. Let's walk the feet in now. Knees are bent, soles of the feet on the floor. Knees are right over the heels here. Take a little tilt of the pelvis so that it's like the pubis lifts up toward the belly button and the tailbone lengthens toward the space between your heels. Good. Shrug your shoulders a little bit to set up for bridge pose. Snug the shoulder blades toward each other on your back and then press the upper arm bones strong into the mat. Beautiful. As you next breathe in, press into the inner edges of your feet. Lift the low back and the mid back away from the floor. Rise the breath to the collarbones. And then exhale and release back down, taking that little tilt in the pelvis. Tailbone stretches to the space between the heels. We'll do this 5 more times. Press into the feet. Inhale, lift up to a comfortable bridge pose. Just gently warming up, nothing too huge here. And go ahead, 4 more rounds. Letting your awareness continue to rest at the center of the chest and feeling the breath rise up to fill that space. Gently energizing and receiving the nourishment of prana, life force energy. One more time, lift the hips, the ribs, chest toward the chin. And then release on down and just let the legs windshield wiper a little side to side here. Good. Roll all the way over to your right side now, and let's make our way up to tabletop pose. If a blanket under the knees is supportive for your joints here, go ahead and set that up. And then we'll let the wrists come a little bit forward of the shoulders and place the hips right above the knees. Breathe into cow pose, stretch the front of the body, broad collarbones and sit bones. And then exhale, inner thighs toward each other, pull the belly in, stretch between the shoulder blades. Glide your heart forward to cow as you breathe in. And then push the floor away, round the spine, stretch the back body, and cat pose as you breathe out. And let's find about 4 more cycles of breath there. Lift the chest as you inhale. Really nice, everyone. Good. And then push the floor away, navel to spine as you breathe out. In this pose, we have the opportunity to feel the front of the heart and the back of the energetic heart as well. As you're ready, let's tuck the toes under and lift the hips up. Find downward facing dog. Invite in any movement that's organic to you here. Maybe you like to pedal the feet or move the hips. Maybe just steadiness feels really good for you today. So notice what's what. Be with it. Stretch through the sides of the body. Really press down into the space between the thumb and the first finger of each hand. Good. Imagine hugging the upper arm bones closer to the ears and feel how that helps to stabilize the shoulders here. Let's inhale, everybody. Roll forward to a plank pose. Press strong through the heels to the back of the room. Stretch long through the crown of the head to the front of the room. Find another full breath in here. And then exhale, hips up and back. Stretch long through the side body, downward facing dog. We'll take 3 more rounds like that. Roll forward onto the tippy toes. Hug the upper arm bones back. Broaden the collarbones. Fill the center of the chest. And then exhale, up and back, downward facing dog. And take 3 more like that at your pace. Option to go from tabletop to child's pose here as well. Lovely, very attentive to self, to quality of breath. And then from there, we'll all meet in child's pose. So we'll untuck the toes, let the shins come down so they're parallel behind you. Release your forehead down to or toward the floor. And then walk your hands all the way off the left side of your mat. Your chin will follow toward your left knee. And see if you can keep the wrists about shoulder width distance apart here. Breathe into the stretch from your right hip to your right shoulder. Now press into your right hand, lift your left ribs ever so slightly. And then exhale, release back down right here. Hands come back through center now and then all the way off the right side of your mat. Pause and feel. Left side body. Stretching out the intercostals between the ribs here. Press into your right hand, lift the right ribs ever so slightly. Exhale, settle those left ribs down a little more solidly. And then hands will come back through center and we'll come up to our tabletop. So if you'll watch for 1 second, I'll demonstrate a little flow that we're going to practice. So our toes are going to tuck under. And we'll set up in a knee down plank here with the hips forward of the knees. This will be our breath in. And then when you breathe out, the invitation is to bend the elbows straight back. Shoulders come toward the fingertips. So there's a forward motion and the shoulders are not going down lower than the elbows here. When you get it to approximately that point, let the hips come down, untuck your toes, and then we'll inhale up to cobra and exhale back to down dog. So let's try that now for about 4 rounds. As you're ready, we'll inhale, coming forward to plank pose. If chaturanga is strong in your practice, you can do that. Otherwise, knees are coming down, elbows bend back, shoulders go forward, no lower than the elbows. And then hips come down, ground through the tops of the feet, ground through the pelvis. Rise the heart up with the inhale. Exhale down, tuck the toes under. Up and back, downward facing dog. Go ahead and find that flow for 3 more rounds now at your own pace. Mindful if you're doing chaturanga here to let that be its own pose. Be there for a full breath before you lift to up dog. Good. As you come into that knee down plank, pull the belly in, reduce any hammocking in the body. Feel the full breath in as you rise into your back bend. Stretching out long, downward facing dog. Do 1 more cycle through. Nice. And then from downward facing dog, we'll walk the feet forward to meet the hands. And we'll meet up here in Tadasana, mountain pose. Reset your feet. Lift through the inner arches here in home base. Good. Let's bring the hands to the hips. We'll step the right foot back and we'll find lunge here. Option as always to bring the knee down if you so choose. Keep the front of the right thigh lifting toward the thigh bone. Bend into that left knee toward a 90-degree angle. Good. Let's inhale, bring the arms overhead. And then exhale, goalpost the arms. Inhale, reach wide, interlace the hands, puff up the chest. And then exhale, keep the side body long. We'll fold inside that left knee. Press the elbows straight. Keep the collarbones lifting. Good. Stand strong through your back toes. Move from your sacrum. Stack the shoulders over the hips. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, arms come forward. Exhale, goalpost. Inhale, flip the palms away, reach wide, puff up the chest, slide the hands down the thigh. And then exhale, we'll fold inside that left knee. Staying for another breath in and another breath out. That front leg getting super strong. And then move from the sacrum, sweep the arms forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, plant the hands down and step back, downward facing dog. You have the option to move through a vinyasa here if that's familiar to you, or you can stay here in downward facing dog with me, whatever you choose. Good. We'll walk the feet forward to meet the hands again. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Let the sit bones lift up as the crown of the head releases down. Good. Just let the torso waterfall over the legs. And let that space between the shoulder blades just sort of melt and soften here. Bend into the knees, press through the feet. Inhale, come on up, Tadasana. Lovely. And we'll do the other side. So hands to the hips. Feel steady through both feet. Take a step back, straighten those Tadasana tracks. Bend into your forward knee. And again, option to release the knee down or keep it lifting here. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, broad chest, goalpost, goddess arms. Reach away, expand the chest more as you reach, and inhale, lift the chest. And then exhale, we'll bow. Inside that right knee, stay for a breath in and out. And then stand through that back foot, move from the sacrum, stack the shoulders over the hips. One more time, inhale and reach, expand, receive. Exhale, goalpost. Reach away, inhale, puff up the chest. Exhale, bow inside that right knee. Stay for a breath in and out here. Keep the pinky toe side of that back foot rolling down, good. And then move from the sacrum, peel the ribs up. Exhale, hands frame that front foot, and we'll step back again, downward facing dog. Option to move through plank or knee down plank to cobra or upward facing dog if you so choose. Good. From downward facing dog, we'll all roll forward toward our plank pose now. Release the knees down, bend the elbows back and come down onto the belly. Okay, so wiggle around here until you feel your pelvis grounded on the mat. Lift up the legs, press the tops of the feet down to the floor. And we'll take 6 rounds of cobra pose without the arms here. So let the hands come to the low back, palms face up to the ceiling. Ground the pelvis down and feel like the pelvis is the base of an anchor. Feel the center of the lumbar spine growing long out of the base of that anchor. Inhale to rise up. And then exhale to release down. You're gonna do this 5 more times. And see if the breath in can get a little bit longer and a little bit more complete with each round. Gently and gradually building here, 3 more rounds. Each breath in a little longer, a little more complete than the one that preceded it. Yeah, that's it. The shape might look a little different than it usually does in service to finding this replenishment of the breath in. So let's press up through tabletop then and back to child's pose. Let your forehead rest. Let the hands come to rest alongside the heels. Feel the breath moving into the low back body here. And let's walk the hands forward. We'll tuck the toes, lift up again for downward facing dog. And walking the feet forward, we'll just transition to Uttanasana. Bend the knees and come up to stand. And let's take the feet nice and wide on the mat now. We'll spin the left thigh and toes out. Step your right foot a little closer to me and turn those toes in. Nice. And then hands come up to the center of the rib cage. Inhale up to the center of the chest. And then as we exhale, we'll hinge from the hip, coming toward triangle pose, Trikonasana. Maybe the hands stay on the ribs here. Maybe the hand comes to the thigh, the shin, a block if you have it. And then bring that upper hand to the shoulder. Help to roll the chest open a little more. And then we'll take a lateral variation. So the arm will reach beyond the crown of the head, look up to the ceiling, bow those top ribs as you breathe in. And then exhale, reach the arm away and look down over your toes. Inhale, reach long, look up. Exhale, reach away and spin the gaze down over the toes. Let's do this 3 more times, big sweeping movements. Brushing away anything extraneous. And when you finish 3 rounds at your pace, we'll reach from those upper ribs, come all the way up to stand and release the hands down. Nicely done, everyone. Let's let the toes come through center. We'll go to the other side. So spin the right thigh and toes out. Step your left foot a little bit forward so that your heels aren't on a tightrope. And then slide the hands up to the rib cage, spin away from that front knee. As you exhale, lengthen the waist over the forward leg. Hands can stay on the ribs, or your hand can find a place on the leg or the floor outside the ankle. And then that top arm is going to reach long, bow the top ribs to the ceiling, find your breath in, look up. And then as you breathe out, reach away and shift the gaze down over your toes. 4 more rounds on this side, bowing the ribs, reaching as you inhale. And bringing some more freedom into the neck, the upper shoulder as you exhale. Feel the smoothness in your breath. Maybe 1 more round. And then reach from those top ribs, come all the way up to stand. Lovely. We'll turn all 10 toes through center again. Bring the hands around to your low back here. And then we'll use the hands to create a bit of a shelf for the low back. So think about the tailbone going down and the top of the sacrum, that sort of triangular bone here lifting into the back. And then from there, grow the space from the pubis to the navel to the sternum. And maybe the collarbones come parallel with the ceiling. If they do, you have the option to maybe walk the hands down to the thighs. Be in the place where you can breathe fully, where the low back is not pinching, and where you can still attend to that gentle fullness of the breath in to the center of the chest. Good. Let's bring the spine upright again. Shift the hips a little side to side, and then hands come to the hip creases. Lengthen the low back here. Really stretch from the low back first and then the side waist. Hands will come down to the floor like our wide-legged forward bend, but then we're walking the hands way forward. So it's like the trunk is taking a downward facing dog shape with the wide base of the legs. You'll find 4 more rounds of breath here. The inhale rising to the center of the chest. And the exhale, relaxing the space between the shoulder blades. And take your time from there to walk the hands back in. Hands find the hips. Rise up to stand. We'll heel toe the feet together so you're facing the front of your mat once again. Let one hand come to the belly and one hand come to the heart. And pause to feel. Noticing again, how's the body? What's the quality of the mind? And inviting smoothness back into the breath. Knowing that with our yoga practice, yes, we move our bodies. And also we shape our energy and therefore shift our reality. Okay, let's bring the hands to the hips. We're going to come back to a lunge. So bear with me. We're going to step that right foot back, bend the forward knee toward 90 degrees. And again, the knee can absolutely be down here. The knee can be lifted, whichever variation you like. And we'll take a movement into the arms. So gather the hands together at the heart center. And as you exhale, let's push the hands away. Hold space for yourself. And then as you inhale, gather the hands to the heart. Feel the fullness of that breath in. Exhale, push away, release anything extraneous. Inhale, fill up, receive. Exhale, hold space. Go inside and feel this for 3 more rounds. Merging breath and movement and intention. Lovely. Bring the hands to the hips. Step the back foot in enough that you can ground the heel down. So the heel turns in a little relative to the toes. We'll interlace the hands behind the back. Bend into the front knee, lift the chest, warrior 1. Ground down here in warrior 1. 1 more breath in. And then humble warrior again. We'll bow inside that forward knee, this time with the heel planted. A little different than the first time around. From here, if you like, you have the option to bend the elbows, keep the upper arms hugging in toward each other, and bring a little more space into the shoulders. Allow the head to release down toward the floor with no expectation that it has to go there. And let that space again between the shoulder blades just kind of soften. Keep the space of the collarbones open. And then shift the hands around to the low back. Stand strong through your back heel. Rise all the way up. Straighten that front leg. And then we'll just match the feet up again in Tadasana. And from a place of steadiness, physically, mentally, step back with the left foot. Find your lunge. So rather than the heel down, we're spinning. So the heel is lifting. Bend the forward knee toward 90. Knee can lift or come down. And then again, as you breathe out, push the hands out to the sides, get bigger. Inhale, gather the hands to center, pull energy in. Exhale, push away and hold space, expand. Inhale, gather prana to heart center. Three more rounds at your pace, merging breath and movement, and this intention to receive and build. Really lovely. So hands will come to hips and we'll step that back foot in again so that you can find your warrior one foundation. Toes out a little relative to the heel now, and then the forward knee will bend. Interlace the hands behind the back if you'd like. Lift the chest, find a little back bend here. Knit those front ribs in. Good. Exhale, grounding here. Another breath into the chest. And then as we exhale, we'll bow inside that right knee. Maybe heel toe the foot a little wider on the mat. Make space for the body. If you'd like, the elbows can bend and we'll take the upper arm bones toward the crown of the head. Release the crown of the head down. Chest is open and bright. Shoulders are soft. Heart is beating. Feet are grounded. Good, and then stand through that back leg. Press your hands into your low back. Rise all the way up. And we'll match the feet up again. Tadasana. Let the palms float forward. Find a breath in and out. Good. We'll hinge from the hips. Bring the hands all the way down to the floor. And step back again to plank pose. Knee down plank, always available. And then knees come to the floor. And we'll make our way all the way down to lie on the belly again. And turn one ear to the mat for a moment and rest. So if we say that there can be a sense of overwhelm when prana vayu is depleted, rest becomes important. Receive this rest. So press up to a tabletop pose for a moment. And again, if you have the blanket or the towel available, we'll go ahead and press that out to a diagonal on the left side of your mat. You might need to glance at the screen for this one for just a second. So I'm going to prop up onto my forearms to start. And then I'm bringing my left knee out to the side. So I'm going to let the knee be supported on the blanket. If you don't have one, that's fine. We'll bring the knee out to the floor. And then you can kind of explore here if it feels better to keep the knee at hip height or down a little lower. But find the place that feels comfortable. And then you might find that you stay propped on your forearms here, or you might release right down to the floor. Let as much of your tummy come to the mat as possible. You might turn one ear to the mat. And we'll just breathe into the unwinding and the physical body and in the energy body that this shape provides. All kinds of good stuff here for freeing up the movement of the diaphragm. And then let's roll toward the right hip. Bring your left heel in and then stretch the left leg out on the mat behind you. We're going to prop up onto the forearms again, elbows forward of the shoulders. Press the tops of the thigh bones down into the mat. Sphinx pose here. Imagine dragging the elbows toward your hip points and shining a light from the center of the heart forward. If you're feeling down into the hips, down into the low belly, notice if there's a difference left side to right. And then we'll go ahead and release back down to lying on the belly and slide your blanket if you have it around to the right side of your mat and tilt it out at a little bit of a diagonal. And again, prop on your hands, prop on your elbows, roll toward the left hip. Let that right knee swing out to the side. And the knee can be bent level with the hip, maybe a little lower, a little higher. See what's sustainable for you. Finding enough comfort that you can rest onto the forearms or release the head down and simply breathe. Notice the body breathing in. Notice the body breathing out. Rest and receive the nourishment of these complete halves of breath. We'll bring a little more weight into the upper body now, rock toward the left hip, and then slide that right leg out long behind you once again. And then we'll slide the elbows forward of the shoulders. And again, find Sphinx pose here. We're going to hold this shape. And just as you did at the start of class, visualize that breath in rising from the navel up to the center of the chest, and we'll pause the breath in if that's comfortable for you. Imagine the exhale just rolling down the backs of the shoulders, relaxing the upper traps. 4 more breaths like this. Watch the inhale rise up the front body, pause that breath in, fill up and receive. And let the exhale roll gently down the back body. And we'll release all the way down onto the belly now, and then roll over onto your back. We'll find another bridge pose here, the option to be a little more active this time if you so choose. So let the heels come in so they're right underneath the knees, as wide apart as the sit bones. And if anything, the toes are in a tiny bit relative to the heels. Try not to let the toes splay out to the sides here. And then again, we'll shrug those shoulders so you feel a good amount of space behind your neck, space between the cervical spine and the floor. Press those upper arm bones down. And then as you inhale, imagine pressing the shins away from you. Walk the upper arm bones in under the body. Lift the chest, and we'll hold here. If it's better for your body to have a block under your low back, go ahead and do that. If it's available to bring the hands underneath the low back, fingertips out to the sides of the waist, you can explore that here as well. We'll stay with this visualization of prana filling up the center of the chest. And easy breaths out. Three more breaths here, coming down sooner if that suits you better. And then slowly move the block out to the side. Release the hands down if those supports were in place. Middle back and low back come down to the floor. Feet go wide to the edges of the mat, knees bent and resting in toward each other again. Find 3 breaths into the low belly here. Good. We'll heel toe the feet back in. Bring the soles of the feet to touch and let the knees open out to the sides. And then bring the heels of the hands right up to the tops of your thigh bones. And rather than pressing down, push away. So press the tops of the thigh bones away from the hip points here. And then they can let the hands rest, fingertips rolling in toward the inner thighs if that's comfortable for you. We'll just rock a little bit gently from side to side. And from here, bring the hands outside the thighs, invite the knees back to center. Lengthen the tailbone down away from the crown of the head again, so more of the small of your back rests on the floor. And then we'll fold the knees into the chest here. Curling into a little ball, compressing the front body. One more restful, easeful breath out here. And then we'll go ahead and release the legs down to the floor for Savasana. Taking any arrangement of the body that's comfortable here for you. Letting the feet splay out to the sides, letting the palms rest wide. Making sure you're truly comfortable. Reducing the physical body as a distraction here. And as you settle into this place of absorption and reception to your practice, we'll stay with that visualization for just 3 more rounds, watching the inhale rise up to fill up the center of the chest. And imagine the breath out radiating from the center of the body out through the limbs, carrying warmth, peace, ease, rejuvenation. Breathe into the center of the chest and let the exhale carry effortlessness through the physical body. Gradually now begin to deepen your breath in and lengthen your breath out. Gently inviting movement back into the body. Fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, arms and legs. And let those movements grow in a way that feels natural to you. Maybe rolling your head gently from side to side, or finding a full body stretch. And from there, take your time to pull your knees in toward your chest, roll off to your right side, and return to a comfortable seat for meditation. So as you arrange yourself into any seat that is steady and comfortable, once again, allow the eyes to close or rest the gaze gently downward. We'll start with 6 rounds of Brahmari pranayam. Brahmari is bumblebee breath. So I'll show you one time. You can place your thumbs over the tragus or over the ear flap. If you know Sanmukhi Mudra, you're welcome to take the full mudra here. You'll take a breath in through the nose, and then we exhale a higher pitched humming sound. So rather than the vibration being deeper in the throat, it's more forward in the mouth. So you'll take 5 more rounds on your own, and then let your hands rest back onto your thighs. So we'll meet with our hands back on our thighs, the eyelids closed or the gaze resting down. This gentle vibration helping to clear the mind. And now begin to imagine breathing in through all the gates of the senses. Imagine drawing the breath in through every pore of the skin, through the ears, through the openings in the nose. As you exhale, let yourself be blanketed in prana, life force energy washing over you. Inhale, draw prana in through all of the sensory gates, refilling and replenishing. And exhale, just imagine the body blanketed in that gently enlivening energy. Each breath in, capacity building, the gentle breeze of the breath washing over the body. And gently releasing the technique now. Let the eyes flutter open. We'll flip the palms to face up and bring the hands together in front of the heart, the space at the center of the chest where awareness resided through practice today. And pause here to acknowledge the connection between who you are at Heart Center, how you offer yourself in the world. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today to fill your reserves so you can continue to serve. Jai Ma, Namaste.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you very much.
So good to hear your voice, Dave.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Sharon. Bye, Deb.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
How'd it go, Shelley?
It was great. It was great. I'm
Good,
working a lot, so I don't know if I'll be able to join you on Thursdays, but maybe I
Sure.
can sign up for the class and take it later. You know, I know it's available for 24
You
hours,
bet.
so I try to do that.
Yeah, anytime you can. It seems like the recordings are working out all right. So
Yeah,
we're
it was
glad
great.
for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye-bye.
night. Bye, Emily.
Bye-bye.
See you.